what's up drivers? Today I have a little bit of a treat for you. I have this beautiful Japanese MPV to review. It is of course the Toyota Estima, and you can see the E there for Estima. And this is the X model, so it's actually fully loaded from its year. Now this was imported into the UK in 2000, hence why it's on an X reg. You can see that it's an Estima T and it's the X model, which means that it has pretty much all the bells and whistles that this car offers, including a reversing camera, standard from the factory, would you imagine. Now this little gem is actually a car that is owned by my father-in-law, and we've used it actively to travel the UK for different events, including church events. And you can see that X is a limited edition. So what do you get? Well, you get a very, very large vehicle. Now this is a 8-seater family car. It is very, very, very nice to look at. Actually, I think the design is very, very nice. The front of the car is very angular. These squinted headlights are very nice, although they are fading a little bit because of the age of the vehicle. I also like the side profile. It's swooping back and then has a nice hatchback rear end, which is really good because it allows you ample access to the back when you're trying to load and unload things. Now the tailgate itself is operated using this latch here and is actually fairly heavy. That's why these gas struts do a really important job. This is in its 8-seat configuration. Now you can see with the 8 seats up, you still get a decent sized boot actually for your shopping and different things, and you have a lot of room lengthwise which you could utilize. Now one thing is, with the 8 seats in place, obviously there isn't tons of room here, so perhaps what you have to choose to take with you is going to be not limited, I would say, but intelligently packed. Now you do get little storage things here, like in this case here. You can store there, and you can see there's a jack in there already, but there's some little storage there as well which you can have. You also have access to your own 12-volt socket, so in case you want to do some hoovering and whatnot. There's also a light back here which you can turn on, which I think is really useful. What else? Well, you actually have a little bit of a loading lip as well in this case, so perhaps heavier items are going to be an issue. Now one thing about these seats is that they can be put into many different kinds of configurations. You can either have them in this form, you can have them facing normally, which is a normal configuration where the seats are actually facing this way and looking out. But I think this way is more fun because obviously you've got the family with you. It's more enjoyable for them because they can interact with each other. Now I will go and explore the rear properly, but I just want to talk to you about the boot and the load lip. Now the load lip is actually quite extensive, so these seats can move out of the way, so it can turn into a van. So if you are loading heavy items in, it's going to be a bit of an issue just getting up there, but I think it's a small price to pay for a vehicle this size. Now coming back to the design of the car, I think it looks really, really nice from the rear. Actually, the whole light bar gives it a nice look. It kind of gives, and these kind of lights are like quite shiny to look at, if that makes sense. I don't know if shiny is the right word, but if you know what I mean, they're clear lenses, so it looks really, really nice. And the badging and everything, and the exhaust is actually quite large, so it makes you think you're driving a pretty, JDM-esque vehicle. Now it does have Japanese badging all around it, as you can probably tell. No idea what that says. There is this though, red diamonds, red in Aruba. I have no idea what this is. So you can tell me in the comments what this is, if this is some sort of cool club or something. But like most imports, it has the square number plate, which I think it makes it look quite cool as well. Now, talking about the design and the side profile and everything, one thing that really, really I love about this car, and I think it looks really quite cool, is the way that the front bonnet is just so slanted. It's got nice lines going all the way down. But you can actually see, you would think a 2.4 litre unit, how on earth have they made it fit into that? But it isn't. It actually sits underneath here from here onwards. And when you lift the bonnet up, the engine's all the way down here. So you actually have to, when you're repairing it, it's actually got quite strange access, but it's not difficult. I mean, somebody who's a trained mechanic will be able to do it quite well. I also absolutely love this badge. I think it's so cool, and it's an E for Estima. And if this was in really good nick, this will be red, and this is obviously gold. And this was part of the special treatment that you got when you had this car, because this is an X model, which is a limited edition model. Now, obviously, it's not had a very easy life, unfortunately, but none of these kind of family buses do. But what they do really, really well is offer you an amazing, comfortable ride, which is often accompanied by a punchy engine and an automatic gearbox, and the ability to take all of your family abroad or anywhere else where you're trying to go. And I think that's the beauty of these things. Now, before we access the interior, I wanted to show you this key because it's quite unique. Now, this is a standard Toyota key. You might recognize it if you owned a Lexus or a Toyota from the mid-2000s. But this is one button, unlock and lock. So if you press it, it locks it. And then if you press it again, it unlocks it. And now you have access. And now let's talk about the interior. First of all, look at this. Look at the way the car greets you. Look at the amount of space you have to actually enter the vehicle. First thing that catches your eye are these wood accents. The fact that there's actual wood in this is pretty impressive. And look at the amount of room I have to actually step into it. Now, this car, like all Japanese Toyotas and Lexuses from its time, the fuel releases here, and that actually allows you to fuel the car. You can see if you don't do anything with the key or don't engage it, it does lock itself, so you have to keep unlocking it. Once you have obviously entered, you'll find that you are sitting in something quite comfortable. Now, these seats are like cloth, but they're velour seats. They're kind of like suede velour kind of material. They're very, very soft and luxurious. You can see I'm digging my fingers into it and just absorbing the impact, which means that would like be really comfortable to take over a long journey. One more thing, like look at this driving position. It's elevated. Yes, that's right. It's an elevated driving position, which means you actually feel like you're sitting in an SUV, but in actual fact, you're just sitting in a family car. It's also very space age, the design. The space age design I'm talking about is the way that this dash swoops over. You know, that's where the instrument cluster is. So you actually got your speed and your revolutions and your fuel and your engine temperature in there. And then right outside here, you got these, again, space age style buttons, which are indicating what gear you're in. So in this case, let me show you. And you can see it says either drive, park, reverse, neutral, drive, the second gear, and then the low gear, of course. And then it has this cluster which actually houses all the lights. So when you look at it, it's actually such a cool looking vehicle. Like, it's really, really cool. And let me show you what I mean. So what you have actually, what makes this unique in my opinion, and I absolutely love Toyotas from this era because of this cool aspect, is this the column shifter itself. And when you change gear, it actually indicates it up here, which I think is really, really cool. You also get a lot of luxury for what you offer. So you have so many speakers. You have the treble speakers here, you have the bass speakers down here, then you have you know, the same thing over there. You also get a tracker in this car, which you can see in the corner. Now there's speakers in the back as well. Look at the front. Look how much space I have between me and the passenger. This is all space that can be utilized for storage. And talking about storage, there's very intelligent storage solutions available in this vehicle. Now look at this. You would think those are your cup holders in the door, but no, this car actually has 4 cup holders for just the driver and the passenger. 2 here and 2 there. See? Awesome, isn't it? Very, very spacious. And then it has so many cubby holes or glove boxes or storage locations. There is normally one here, but unfortunately it's broken. But you will get one here, which is full of coins for when you fuel up and you go slightly over. And then you got one here. And then you got a traditional glove box down there. And then it also has the center console glove box, which is, you know, has stuff in it already, like bulbs and a lighter. It also has different things in it like this, which you can actually replace as part of if you want to update or change the way this uses its space. The ashtray as well, which is really, really useful. You can take the whole thing and turn it into another cup holder should you want to. Now, another intriguing thing are these 90s style mats, and they're brilliantly velcroed in. You can see they're velcroed in, so they sit like that, and they're velcroed onto the carpet itself, so it's not moving a lot. But again, the design is so cool and retro. It really, really does make you feel like you're driving something special. Now, this car did not come with rain guards. Somebody has installed them, but I think it does make it look even better. What do you get inside your Toyota Estima X? Well, not only do you get space-age design, you get a very, very, very practical vehicle. So you have huge grab handles, and the way this is situated, you can see my arm would just rest on there while I'm driving, which makes this whole journey a lot more comfortable. But what about the middle? It doesn't have a center console. What is this arm going to do? Well, I'll tell you. This is a captain chair. So this arm will sit here and hold the wheel like that while you cruise on along. Now, the X model did come with a lot of toys. So what do you get? You get automatic climate control, which you can control using physical buttons. In this case, control the temperature, the fan, if you want to put in automatic, or if you want to control it, and front and rear defrosters as well. As I said, you get the cup holders, the lots of storage solutions as well, and you get this infotainment unit. Now, this infotainment unit had voice navigation back in the day when this car was launched. It also has TV, which I will show you. Also, you get buttons down here. Now, these buttons are actually in Japanese, so I think these are for additional options of heated seats, which this car is not actually equipped with, which is a pity. But they have, I think, given you the ability to upgrade to the heated seats if you wanted to. So perhaps it's something to look at. Now, the driver also gets the ability to push this down and to move the column up or down, so to fit your driving position. You can also, I think it doesn't have telescopic, so it's just up and down in this case, but I think it still offers you pretty good adjustment. As far as the equipment is concerned, you're definitely not you're not missing anything, if that makes sense. You've got automatic folding mirrors, you got control of everything, so you can control everything. You got central locking, windows control, everything. And the ventilation is just so good. Look, you got ventilation here which focuses on these windows, and then you got ventilation here which focuses on the drivers. And this is dual zone, so it actually offers you two types of climate, one for this and one for the passengers in the back as well. Now, you might think, such a big vehicle, how on earth am I going to park it? It must be equipped with parking sensors. No, it's not. As we saw earlier on the design, this car is not equipped with parking sensors. So how on earth are you going to, well, reverse the car? Well, I told you, this car has a parking reverse camera. There we go. I'm going to give her a little start. So you can see the instrument clusters there. Started up on the first go. In this case, the engine light is on, but that engine light is because of a O2 sensor on the exhaust, which is quite common for these to happen. It doesn't necessarily affect the driving, it does affect the emissions, so I'm going to have that looked at soon. As I said, the reversing camera, you need to actually engage reverse. So on the brake, engage reverse, and look at that. The camera is up and it allows you to see where you're going, so you could actually reverse even further, or you could go forward and you could come forward. The gearbox is just so intuitive, it's brilliant. And the whole car, as you could probably tell, is enormous, but because the way it's designed and the driving aids and everything like that, it makes you think you're driving something a lot smaller. When you're sitting down here, it seems like you're driving a massive barge, and it literally is. But again, when it's on the road, it's surprisingly nimble. and surprisingly, you can cover a lot of miles in here without feeling the need to stop or feeling tired, just because of the amount of space. You've got loads of space, amazing knee room. Again, I've got loads and loads of headroom, so I have no worries, and it's really well lit, so it gives you that, you know, that feeling of airiness, roominess, and that kind of encourages you to enjoy driving and take it for long trips. And this is what this car is designed for, to be able to take to, you know, the ends of the earth, if that makes sense. So let's continue with the interior in the front. Not only do you get these captain chairs, which are really quite comfortable, and all these fantastic, you know, driver aids, including electric windows and everything, and as I was saying, the folding mirrors, they still work. A bit noisy, but they still work. Considering that this car is now 24 years old, it's actually older than that. This is just a year from when it was imported, and it's still on the road and it's still running smooth. And look at that engine idle. It's sitting at, but let's actually go below 1. I think the engine's cold. So that shows to you how strong Toyota make these cars. Absolutely phenomenal. Now let's have a listen to the radio, because that's what I want to show you guys. It's really good. I'm just gonna seek.
It can't be him. There's no way he wouldn't do this to you.
And your name is?
You see that? It's got a decent sound system on it as well. And if you press this, it opens the fascia so that you can upload, you can insert a CD or a tape deck should you have one. And if you press open again, it closes it. You can also tilt it in case it's giving you reflection. We've got 3 tilt modes, so you'll be able to see what's on there. You can also click TV, and if there was an analog system, if there was an analog signal, for television, it would work. So I'm just going to seek and see if it plays something. You can see it's connected to something, but there's no picture. That means the analog signal, if there was an analog signal, you would have television in this thing, which is incredible, if I'm honest. Now, you also get a lot of these buttons which are in Japanese, which I don't understand, so I've never ever pushed them, but I think they would obviously offer you way more like connectivity and the ability to, if you are Japanese and you understand what these buttons do, please share with me what they are for, so that I can understand them. As I said, you get access to TV, tape deck, AM, FM, disc, and whatever this is. I think this is for the antenna of the television. I think it's wonderful to see something this advanced in a vehicle from this age, which is actually really cool, actually. The hazards are obviously placed right next to it, and is useful to have. Awesome. All in all, a really nice place to sit, very comfortable, and when we take you out for a drive, you'll see what I mean. Right, so let's head into the back. So you need to actually pull it, and you have really good access. Actually, this normally is facing that way, so it allows the access easier, but as I said, for us to enjoy it, it's more better to actually sit like this, and you have to use this to actually disengage the handle and close, and it does this. Did you hear that? That was a little bit of an automatic motor that locks the doors with you, similar to what happens in an S-Class. Now again, you have cup holders here and a little bit of storage here. The passengers here have cup holders, access to their own ashtray, and a little cubby holder. Same, a huge storage bin here as well for you to utilize. Same is the case on this other side. You also get your own access to your electric window. Lovely. They are tinted. They were tinted from the factory. You also have access to your own ventilation system up here, which is brilliant. It's literally cavernous in here. There's tons of room, and the thing is, if you don't have any people in there, you could just get your toes out and sit like that. Obviously it's not recommended because you have to have your seatbelt on. All in all, a very spacious motor. Again, there is space between you, so you could put bags in here, different things here if you wanted to. And you can see that these seats are quite versatile. You can see tabs on them like these. and now these tabs can be pulled, and this actually moves the whole seat back, and you can actually recline it or make it more comfortable for you, if that makes sense. So I've reclined that a lot now, so you could actually enjoy that a little bit more, and if you pull it, it will come back to its original upright position. Excuse me. This also has its built-in armrest in case you don't have a third passenger. Gives you a little bit more comfort. Again, it's all in this really nice soft to touch velour kind of material. Soft, very comfortable. I love these about the cars from the 90s and early 2000s. It's just so unbelievably comfortable in here. Everyone has access to their own grab handles, which you need actually if you're kind of, you know, sitting in back here. Now you might think, what is this? This is, on its own, is another armrest with cup holders built in. So not only do you have them there, you also have them here if you're sitting here and you want a drink and a passenger wants a drink. Now these cars are very passenger friendly, so the passengers in the back, they also have captain chairs. Now this was not the case in all Estimas. In the X limited ones, which is this one, you did have this for the rear passengers as well, which I think is pretty cool, and it allows you to be that extra bit more comfortable. You can see down here there are other cubby holes, and you can see there's an AV connection down here. Now you can actually have that AV connection connected to, well, anything really. You can have a screen back here should you want to. I'm surprised they don't have one installed, but again, another cup holder, another cubby hole which has stuff already in it, and yeah, all in all, pretty awesome vehicle. Now one thing I do want to realize, to show you the configuration, to understand how many configurations you can have with this kind of car, you have to look at these rails. Look how much movement there is front and back, and look at these levers and everything like that, which you can lift to actually move the seat forward and backwards, and that would make it more comfortable for you. I think we should definitely move it backwards, and it's more comfortable that way. What else can I say about these? Everyone has access to their own seat belts, of course. Now in this case, when everybody's sitting down there, they won't necessarily have their seat belts on. You can't really put them on like that, if that makes sense. So this is something that doesn't really work if you're going to drive in this position. So you can, it's recommended that you go into this position once you are in a standard or, you know, stationary position, because you can't put the seat belts on effectively like this. So this is a problem that you might face if you had a vehicle like this. So, but I think once you've done all the driving and you want to spend some time with each other, you can turn it around and it will work the same way. All in all, a very spacious and extremely comfortable rear passenger room. Right, let's take this behemoth for a drive. First thing when you notice when you're sitting inside it is just how much space you have. Look at the amazing kind of elbow room, the headroom, the leg room, and of course the armchairs, which can be removed and out of the way should you wish, but I like to have them engaged. The other elbow sits on the other side of the door, and the seats are very comfortable, and naturally you can see they're very well supported, again, for lumbar, shoulder and headrest. One thing you notice though, immediately as you sit in, the dashboard is really quite far away from you, and one thing that perhaps needs to be taken into consideration when you're driving a vehicle this size is the corners, which you have to actually keep in mind where the car is and the corners of the car, just so you don't want to clip anything on your way out. The maneuverability otherwise is quite nice. The steering is really quite light. It's something that you can operate with one hand should you wish. The reversing camera is a godsend, if I'm honest. But the mirrors itself, even if you didn't have one, would do a pretty good job. But yeah, this is a large vehicle, you have to keep in mind that you have to accommodate its size. And once you've accommodated its size, then you know you'll get used to the way it drives. And the driving itself is pleasurable. It's very soft. It's extremely comfortable. The suspension is very forgiving, which makes this whole aspect quite comfortable and makes this whole driving experience pleasurable. You can see it just went over a bump and we hardly felt it. It's a really relaxing way to go about your business. If you like big cars and you're comfortable in driving big cars, this is something that you really do take into consideration. Visibility is really good all around it. The gearbox is very, very smooth. In this case, it's only a 3-speed automatic with overdrive, but it does a really good job of trundling you along the road. The gear ratios are, I would consider them to be quite long rather than short, because obviously it's more about the smoothness of how the power is delivered rather than having the punchy power. But having said that, if you do put your foot down, it does have enough power to get you out of trouble and to overtake. Like you can see out, it's considerable. So, well, you have to keep in mind this is a 2.4 litre inline 4 unit, so it's not. No, I think it's just a normal 4-cylinder. Actually, it's a 2.4 4-cylinder unit. It's a normal 4-cylinder. It's not an inline 4, which makes it really easy to maintain and keep. I mean, these engines were utilized heavily within the Toyota range. We had it in the Camry in the US. You had it in other Toyota vehicles and vans, including the Hiace. If you've ever driven the van, the commercial vehicle side of Toyota, you also had it in some of Toyota's SUVs. So, like, the 2.4 unit is a proven unit, and it's very, very dependable, reliable, and returns pretty decent economy. I mean, on the motorway, this car will return about 38 to the gallon. That's pretty amazing. In town, yes, you will get about 26, 27 to the gallon, but even then, you're pretty decent. It all obviously depends on how you drive the vehicle. Now, I take it quite easy. On the motorway, I stick between 65 and 70. Keeping that in mind, it really is very, very economical. I found that this car has also had some sort of tuning, which I don't think normal Estimas would have. This car has had some, either I think it's been economy mapped or something, because it is really, really good on fuel. And I've driven other vehicles similar to this, and this one is something unique. I think it might be because it's an X model or whatever the case is, but it definitely is better than fuel than other cars of its size and age. One more thing I would like to talk about is the fact that although it is quite relaxing and easy to drive, it's not as engaging. It's also difficult because the steering is quite light, it's quite vague. It's difficult to see where your wheels are or where your wheels would be. Now, this would mean that this is something that you would need to get used to. Over a long period of time, of course, it would become a lot easier. What else? As I said, the driving experience of these cars don't necessarily matter as much. It is a family car, but it's not like, it doesn't have to do the job of a normal family car. It has to do the job of a family bus. So a minivan of this size, you're not going to expect it to do wonders for you in the driving department. But it does surprisingly handle quite well. It doesn't pitch or it doesn't lean as much as you would expect in the corners. On the motorway, it has enough oomph to get you up to speed. It also has enough oomph to get you out of trouble, as I highlighted. And all in all, the driving experience is quite nice. And for something of this size and this practicality aspect, I think it definitely offers a lot for what it is, and I definitely think it's a lot of car for your money. A car like this is a complete car. You don't need to have any other car in your household, if that makes sense. You can turn it into a van. It's versatile. It can take 8 people. It's an all-rounder, it really is. And in this case, with maneuverability and everything, after I think a couple of drive or even a couple of hours behind the wheel, you'll be very, very dumbfounded to how easy it becomes to drive and how easy the car becomes to control, and you get aware of the corners and everything like that. So all in all, the Toyota Estima, a very, very capable minivan that offers a lot to its drivers and offers phenomenal space and the ability for their passengers and other people to be extremely comfortable. It definitely is a long-range tourer, and I would definitely get the petrol, because some of the petrols are ULEZ compliant. This one isn't, but some of the petrols are ULEZ compliant, and therefore they should be taken into consideration. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another car review, a daily driver.